Have you ever picked up, say, a vintage watch or an old family heirloom and just wondered, what's its real story? In the world of high-value collectibles, trust is literally everything. But how do you prove an item's history is the real deal? So today, we're going to dive into the blueprint for a platform called Heirloom and Harvest. It uses some seriously cutting-edge tech to solve this exact problem, giving every single object an unbreakable story. The whole idea behind Heirloom and Harvest is built on this really simple but powerful promise that you are the next chapter in an object's life. It's all about legacy, it's about history, and that deep connection we feel with the things we really cherish. And that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, this is the huge challenge that just plagues the entire world of collectibles. That little nagging doubt you get about whether something's authentic. This is exactly the problem Heirloom and Harvest was built to solve. Okay, so to really get why the solution is so cool, we first need to get our heads around the problem. Let's take a look at the traditional and often, totally broken systems we've been using to verify the history of valuable stuff. This slide really lays out the massive shift we're talking about. The old way? It's all about fragmented paper trails, databases that don't talk to each other, and expert opinions. It's a system that's murky and honestly super risky. The blockchain way completely flips that on its head. It creates a single, unified, and verifiable digital record that's crystal clear to everyone who's allowed to see it. It's a huge shift from a trust me world to a prove it world. And this isn't just about tech, ones and zeros. The end game here is to build a thriving community. It's like a digital clubhouse for collectors, designers, and antique dealers, where they can all connect and trade with total confidence because they know the story of every single item is locked down and secure.
All right, so how does all this tech actually work under the hood? Let's break down the key pieces that make this new level of verifiable trust even possible.
At its simplest, a blockchain is really just a shared digital notebook. But here's the magic trick. Once a page is written in that notebook, it can never, ever be erased or changed. Every single transaction, an item's creation, its appraisal, its sale, is logged there forever. The folks behind this call it a system of proof. And what it does is it replaces the need for some central, trusted person with cold, hard, cryptographic certainty. But here's the thing. Not all blockchains are created equal. You've got public networks where pretty much anyone can join in. That's just not going to work for a business consortium that needs privacy and control. And that's exactly why Heirloom and Harvest chose something called Hyperledger Fabric, which is a private alternative. This means all the participants are known and vetted. Sensitive business deals can be kept totally confidential, and you don't need some volatile cryptocurrency to make it all work. Let's double-click on that for a second. First off, that permissioned network, that's a huge deal. It guarantees that only authorized vendors and certified appraisers can actually write new information to the ledger. Then you have privacy channels, which let, say, two competing dealers make a deal without broadcasting their business to the entire network. And finally, its high-performance model is built for the kind of speed and scale that a real commercial marketplace needs. Now, as you can probably imagine, building and managing a blockchain network from the ground up it's incredibly complex. And that's where something called blockchain as a service, or BaaS, comes into play. Just think of it like a managed web host, but for blockchain. Heirloom and Harvest uses a platform called Kaleido, and it handles all the complicated infrastructure stuff, which lets the team just focus on building the actual app. And this is where things get really, really interesting. This chart shows one of the biggest hurdles in the whole industry. The blockchain network itself, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking maybe 10% of the total work. The other 90% is building the actual application, plugging it into other systems, and managing all the data. This is what's known as the beyond the chain problem, and it's where a ton of projects get completely stuck. So the big question is, how do you solve for that massive 90%? Well, Kaleido's answer is a super powerful open source tool called Hyperledger Firefly. You can think of it as a traffic cop for all the complex data moving on and off the chain. By giving developers simple APIs, it just wipes out a huge amount of custom coding. The source says up to 80%. Which, as you can guess, massively speeds up development. Okay, so we've geeked out on the tech. Now for the fun part. What does this actually do for someone using Heirloom and Harvest? This is where the whole platform really comes to life. The whole experience really comes down to three main things that all work together. First, you've got a multi-vendor marketplace where every single item is authenticated on the blockchain.
Then you layer on top of that a rich social network so collectors can connect with each other. And finally, you bring it all to life with live selling tools, kind of like a real-world auction. It all comes together to create this amazing social commerce ecosystem.
So let's actually trace an item's journey. It all starts when an authorized vendor calls the create item function. That basically creates its digital birth certificate on the blockchain. Next, a certified appraiser can call verify item, and that permanently adds their stamp of approval to its record. And finally, when the item sells, the current owner calls transfer ownership. See how each critical step is controlled by a specific verified person? A non-owner simply can't transfer the item. It's impossible. But wait, there's more. This isn't just about blockchain. The platform also uses AI in some really cool ways. We're talking intelligent search that actually understands what you're asking for, AI that can curate items into these beautiful visual collections, like a roaring 20s outfit, and even write a story about it. And it can even provide AI-powered pricing predictions. And I think this next phrase from their branding just perfectly sums up their whole philosophy. It's not about replacing the human experts, not at all. It's about empowering them. The AI provides the cool tools and the suggestions, but that final curation, the final verification, that still comes down to human passion and expertise. So, where does this all lead? What does this mean for the future? Let's pull back and look at the bigger picture here. What's really important to understand is that Heirloom Harvest isn't just another place to buy stuff online. It's a whole new blueprint for how to build trust in any market where an item's history really matters. It proves that you can fuse a passionate community, a vibrant marketplace, and some seriously complex tech into one seamless experience. And the way they built this is just as smart as the tech itself. By using Kaleido's tiered plans, they could start developing on a free plan just to prove the concept worked. Then, they could upgrade to a business plan to run a pilot with real partners. And finally, they can scale up to a full enterprise plan for the big launch. This approach takes a ton of risk out of the project and lets the platform grow right alongside its community. So look, if you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. The real game changer here is moving away from a system that relies on a single person, a single gatekeeper, to one that relies on verifiable cryptographic proof. The trust is literally baked right into the system itself. And that really leaves us with this one big, powerful question to think about. Just imagine a world where every object with a real history, a piece of fine art, a vintage guitar, your grandfather's watch, had its own permanent, unchangeable, and totally verifiable story attached to it. That's the future a platform like this is building, one verifiable treasure at a time.